What's up, guys? Got another video for you today, a special one. There will be nothing shiny in this video. This is going to be going into Wayback Machine, so we will pull out the old flux capacitor here and we will set it up and go back in time to 1966. So this is my story of the quest for the 1966 Greenville Mets Nolan Ryan. Story goes back a few years when I found out this existed, and then it just kicked off a quest to figure out if it was real, how to get it, where to get it, what it was, all of that kind of stuff. So it turns out it is 1966 Sporting News. It's a hand-cut, I'm just going to use the word card. I know it's not a card, but a hand-cut card out of 1966 Sporting News. It's, you know, it's newspaper print. It's not cardstock, but it is a 1966 image of Nolan Ryan. So it's the first time the world had ever been introduced at large to Nolan Ryan and seen what he looks like. And it's also the first professional baseball image we have of Nolan Ryan. And of course now we've all seen photos of him with Alvin and, you know, as a kid and all that kind of stuff. But this is how the world was introduced to him, was this image in 1966 Sporting News. So trying to figure out what it was, where it was, all that kind of stuff took a while. And it all started really with this listing on eBay. So this listing right here, I saw that. Now it turns out PSA does not grade these anymore. But this one here, hand cut 1966 Sporting News Nolan Ryan. So I knew then that it existed and it was real. I was kind of excited that it was graded, but they don't grade them anymore. But this was the listing. $57.14. So $57,140 for a PSA 9 Pop 5 controversial type of extended rookie card. 1966 Sporting News babyface Nolan Ryan image, and I just fell in love with it. I was like, how does this exist? How did I not know it existed? And why do I not have one? But then it was like, how do I get one? And obviously I'm not spending $57,000 that I don't have on something like this. So this one was cut really nice, obviously, to get the 9. But it's an old label. Who knows if it would be authentic or anything, if they were even grading these now. I don't know if anybody grades them, but I would find out. But 1966 Sporting News, number 0, Nolan Ryan rookie card. So I was like, wow. 2 years before his rookie card, his professional debut. We've seen pictures of him in later minor leagues, but not Greenville Mets. This was right when he was signed, right when he was making some news as a flamethrower. The article even calls him a strikeout king in this issue. But this one here, I was like, wow, that is too cool. I need to find one. So I was talking to Mookie about something. We were texting about something, and I had mentioned it to him and showed him this listing. Said, this is what I really would want. And he said, well, you know, I go to lots of, you know, yard sales and different places that have all kinds of stuff with Sporting News and stuff like that. I'll keep an eye out. Do you know what issue it's even in? And I was like, I have no idea. This is a shot in the dark that this even exists anymore, or if I could even find it, whatever. Then I kept doing research, and there was one article online that someone said it was in an issue with the Alou brothers on it. Not all three, but Felipe and Matty, not Jesus. And trying to track that down was tough, but I told Mookie, I said, yeah, it's supposedly this one, and I didn't even know. Who knows if it's even the truth or what. But I told him it was supposedly the Alou brothers, showed him a picture. And then sure enough, a few weeks later, just out of nowhere, he texted me a picture of a listing, and it was before I'd got up, and he was, you know, he's on the East Coast, so he had already got up and looked at his searches, and it had come up, and I had searches set for years, and you know, I never seen one, or didn't even know what it was in anyways until recently. At that point, So he sent me a picture of a lot of sporting news from 1966 listed on eBay. And the one in the very back, there's 5 issues. The one in the very back, you could kind of not hardly make it out, but it sure enough had the Alou brothers on the cover. So he sent it to me. I opened it up and I'm like, holy crap, I'm hitting this buy it now as fast as possible. I bought the lot. So then it became the waiting game of getting this thing shipped, getting it here, seeing if it's even good shape, seeing if that Nolan Ryan image was even in the magazine, seeing if the page was even in there when I got it, if someone had removed it, or if it was damaged. I mean, who knows? So I got it in, and I looked through all the other issues, the other 4 issues, just to kind of see what's all in them and everything like that. And then I waited till last to look at the Alou issue. And this is what the Alou issue looks like. Right here. The Alous, Felipe and Maddie. So when I got this, everything looked in pretty good shape. Started flipping through the last one. And sure enough, I was freaking out. Got to whatever page it was on, and bam, Nolan Ryan was in there. And I texted Mookie. I was so stoked. I mean, it was one of the most excited times I've ever been. This is a NOLY GRAIL. So I was just ecstatic. And I waited overnight to decide if I was going to hand cut it or if I was going to leave it on the page, whatever. Ended up hand cutting it. Doing it really well. Came out so nice. Put it in a screw down holder. Of course it's thin, so put it in one without a recess. But it was super, super fun to share that with Mookie in that moment, and just be able to have this thing. I just felt so lucky. I'm like, so long trying to figure out if it existed or where it was from, all this kind of stuff. Finally tracking one down, figuring out what issue was in, and getting that issue thanks to the assist from the Mookster. So then another thing happened. Another listing on eBay. This one was from the Four Horsemen. If you don't know the Four Horsemen, it's all the guys that have all 4 Ryan rookies graded. Venezuelan, the O.P.G., the Tops, and the Milton Bradley. I used to have all 4, but that's a long time ago. Different story. But if you have all 4 of those graded, you're a member of the Four Horsemen. But they had listed this listing right here. 2 of these Nolan Ryans from 1966, 3,000. I think it's still listed on there. But 2 of these images, and I found out there was another one. The one I had was this later in the 66 season, the Alou issue. I found out there was an earlier issue by this. And if you look at it, it's zoomed in more. It doesn't have the writing coming through the front. And the font is different. The one I had was all caps. The other one just had the first letter caps. And he was closer up. It was a clearer image. So I'm like, now this is the first ever image that the world saw of Nolan Ryan. So then it was like, can I even find that thing? Because I had no idea. There's no information on where that one was. I will say that one of the things that struck me immediately upon finding that second listing was that this one cut off his name. So for a long time I thought this was the only way this thing was. But this should have been, authentic trimmed or something, because when you look at these, obviously they have the names at the bottom. Now each one has the different font, but this is the way they should have been cut. Even though this one's not cut super good here, you can see it's got the black from the next one. It's not centered. It's just not a good cut, but at least they cut it to where the names show. But this original listing, the $57,000 one, it's just cut around that black border. So, interesting observation. I just thought, wow, that guy should not have cut his name off. This looks how it should be. You gotta have his name on the card. But just one of those kind of observations there that I was like, wow, that one shouldn't even be a 9. But that's PSA for you. Also, I will show you this real quick in the article from the Alou issue. I will show you this here. So Sean Fitzmaurice is the other fellow they were touting with Ryan, but right there, Ryan, after a year and a half in organized baseball, has established himself as a strikeout king with an impressive set of figures. For 280 innings since turning pro, the tall, gangling 19-year-old from Alvin, Texas, shows 422 strikeouts. So how about that? Definitely an omen of things to come over the next 27 years from that original article. Just thought that was too cool not to share. But I had the other one, so I was at least happy. And let's check out the one from later in 1966. Here it is. A NOLY GRAIL. 1966 Greenville Mets Nolan Ryan hand cut. Should be a 10. There's the back. Got some writing about Earl Lawson there. But that is the first professional baseball image we have of Nolan Ryan. The Greenville Mets. Just amazing. Just so happy to have this thing. Was so stoked about it. Could not believe I owned one. So hard to find. And I had messaged the Four Horsemen, like, you know, what issue is the other one in? They won't even message you back. They don't care. No one wants to tell you. They want these rare things because these things are hard to find. They never come up, and the people like the Four Horsemen that know where these things are aren't going to share that information. They want to be able to keep them. So there it was. I had the first ever year of Nolan Ryan right there. But then I saw this other thing, and I'm like, wow, there is another version, and it's a little bit better, and it's a little bit earlier in the 1966 season. So then I had something else to search for, but we had no idea. There's no information on anything about what issue that could have been in or anything like that. So I kind of just gave up, but then I started buying some issues here and there, and actually just spent a lot just trying to buy all kinds of issues, and never lucked into it. So it was like, well, maybe that doesn't even exist. I mean, maybe they're, I don't know. You see it in that listing, but you know, what was it really in? Was it really a different earlier issue that year? I don't know. So I kind of gave up for a while. Funny thing is, going through some of these sporting news, 1966, I ran across this article with Red Murph and another gentleman being scouts, and the players they were taking under their wings, all that kind of stuff. This was not related to Nolan Ryan, but Red Murph is the scout that discovered Nolan Ryan and got him signed in 1965. He discovered him in Alvin, Texas here, and he was throwing so hard as a youngster out of high school, and it blew him away, and he got him signed with the Mets. But he actually has one of these, and I might end up cutting this out. I got his autograph a couple times well before he passed away. Very fine gentleman, very kind man. But he's the guy that signed and discovered Nolan Ryan. In that Nolan Ryan video from the early 90s, he talks in there, and it's tremendous. But interesting that he had a picture like this in the 1966 in a different issue. As I was trying to track down the Nolan Ryan stuff. So that was kind of just cool, because I had a tie to him. I had met him and been able to get his autograph and stuff many years ago. But that's the guy that discovered him the year before this came out. But this is what introduced him to the world before he became Nolan Ryan. But then a listing came up with a run of a few issues of 1966 Sporting News, and I thought maybe this would be the run of dates that would match up with where this thing could possibly be, the other version. And I had bought so many, but these had some issues in it that I didn't have. So spent the money. This was more money, but I bought these issues just hoping it would have this run, and it was a lot of issues. But I thought this had to be somewhere where it would have shown him, because this one supposedly was right when they signed him, and then the other one was, you know, talking about him as he was developing as a pitcher for Greenville. But sure enough, started flipping through all these different issues, had no idea what issue it was in, anything like that. And eventually I was going through one, and like almost the last page I flipped it, and bam, Nolan freaking Ryan right there. And it was perfect. Once again, a perfect page. Unbelievably excited. But let's look at the back. This one does not have the writing on the back. That's why it's a clear image on the front. It has a player on the back. And I did my hand cutting magic and had my other NOLY GRAIL here. And I was so excited. Had both copies of 1966 Greenville Mets Nolan Ryan. Let's look at it. Bam! Look at that in all its glory. And it's perfect. You can see even the little mole. It's just clearer than this one because of the writing on the back. But it's zoomed in more. As you can tell, he's closer. Same image, but closer. A little more clear. And then the font at the bottom is not all caps. So you can easily tell the two versions of this from each other. But this one is the first ever image the public at large saw of Nolan Ryan. And this is the first ever image of him as a professional baseball player when he signed. Super fresh, baby-faced Nolan Ryan from 1966. So that was it. I had both images, both copies of the 1966 Nolan Ryan, and I could not have been more excited. Just insane feeling after seeing that listing, finding out the other listing, there were two of them, going through everything to try to figure out what these were, where they were, all of that kind of stuff. Finally had them in my hand, and I'm so excited to have them. They are so difficult to track down, and I know they're not technically cards, but to me it's just as good. I don't care what these are. These are historical because they are the first images we've seen as a professional baseball player of Nolan Ryan, and I think they're awesome. These kind of hand cut things are awesome to me. I collect all kinds of vintage baseball ephemera anyways, but this is the ultimate for me. I love my stuff of Babe Ruth from the 20s, all that kind of stuff. It's great, but this being the first one of Nolan Ryan, this leaps to the top. So I kind of consider them cards. I think that's just kind of how they are in my mind, even though they're not technically cards. But they're super important to me, and these are definitely NOLY GRAILs for me. Couple of other incidental things other than that red Murph being in there, one of the issues. There was another issue. Shout out to Mookie here. But there was another issue in 1966 where we had a pre-rookie by 1 year. So Nolan was a pre-rookie by 2 years. This is a pre-rookie by 1 year of none other than Tom Terrific with Jacksonville. So he was ahead of him, obviously. Now we've seen images on cards of Jacksonville of Nolan Ryan. This is Tom Seaver, 1966 Jacksonville. So still really cool. I'm going to send one of these to Mookie because I did find a second. But that is Jacksonville Tom Seaver. And then we got the Greenville Mets pair of Nolan Ryans, which are absolute NOLY GRAILs for me. Just could not be more excited about it. And then one other thing I'll show you here is 3 years before his rookie card. None other than Reggie Jackson. 1966 Reggie Jackson, Arizona State. He even says at the bottom, Reggie Jackson from Arizona State to A's. And there's his picture. Young, super young Reggie Jackson with Arizona State. 3 years before his rookie card. So super pre-rookie there. But just to show you the kind of treasures you can find, we have a pre-rookie of Tom Seaver by a year, a couple of NOLY grails 2 years before his rookie card, and that's what the video is really about, is those two. But just to show you, found another couple of cool things with Reggie 3 years before his rookie card, and then Tom Seaver a year before his. But that's it, guys. The quest for the 1966 Sporting News hand-cut Greenville Mets Nolan Ryan is now complete, and I have both issues that I didn't even know existed at the beginning of this journey. But there it is. I'm so happy. I absolutely love these things. This is my kind of collecting. Nothing shiny here, but when it comes to Nolan Ryan, this is as good as it gets for me. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this journey. Finally get to share it with you now that everything's complete here, and got the whole story straight. So I appreciate it. You guys take care. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you next time.